Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Joy Newsroom, live from our studio here in Accra. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up in this bulletin, VRA refutes allegations of neglecting responsibilities amid power supply challenges. We have details of a statement they released a short while ago. Now, Parliament Energy and Mines Committee urges ECG to prioritize transparency in its dealings. Now, also coming up in this bulletin, Member of Parliament for Pong Katamanso constituency, Joseph Akwete Tete, is making a strong case for the split of the constituency. But that is also being challenged by his MPP by his opponent, the MPP's parliamentary candidate for the constituency, William Asante, who insists that such divisions will lead to a waste of scarce national resources. Now, also coming up in this bulletin, mobile operators successfully restored data services after recent disruptions, rerouting through Angola and Togo. That's according to the Chamber of Telecommunications. These and more coming up next year in this bulletin. Stay on. Now, the country should, Ghana is to have an artificial intelligence policy before end of the year 2024 as Cabinet moves to give its approval in the coming days and take steps to lessen negative impact on the economy. Now, the country should therefore, by end of the year, should have an artificial intelligence policy in place. This is because Cabinet is set to approve the country's artificial intelligence policy in the coming days. This is part of government's effort to ensure that the country is not overtaken by risk that the technology poses to the economy. Ursula Osu-Ekuful is Minister for Communication and Digitalization.
We're hoping that it will approve within the shortest possible time. And it's been worked on. It was developed through multiple stakeholder consultations. The minister and her team didn't sit in a room and develop it. It was supported by the GIZ, the German Development Finance Organization. The Data Protection Commission led its development. Multiple regulators, academics, civil society, network operators, the regulators, all of them worked on developing this policy, mindful of the huge impact that AI can have, both positively and negatively, how to maximize its benefits and minimize its negatives as well.
Ursula Osu-Ekuful is Ghana's Minister for Communication and Digitalization. Now, let's just stay with that sector because the mobile operators have successfully declared the complete restoration of data services to their subscribers following the rerouting of their services through Angola and Togo. The disruption stemmed from undersea cable cuts, severely impacting the data services provided by these companies. Dr. Kenneth Asigbe is CEO of Ghana's Chamber of Telecommunication.
Currently, NITA has a tier 4, data center here. If we had it to the extent that even all the state enterprises were mandated to use that particular, NITA, which is a state-owned data center, a lot of the challenges we found would not have happened. So how do we start even from when it comes to government procurement, the regulation around that, to help so that we make sure that we're using our locally built up, using our locally based services, but also being able to leverage on international things. And again, that's what John talked. We can't live as if we are living in a cocoon. So we need to get all of those things done. We need to, all of us now, also start thinking that it is strategically important to start looking at the issues of some of these data centers. If you are going to do data centers, your power supply ought to be good. Not only to be consistent, also ought to be clean. The cost at which you put in terms of even, currently, look at how much we pay for electricity. So you need to start looking at all of that and start looking at some of these things as being investment. So government will have to start meeting us. Government might not build this infrastructure, but they have to put in, the enabling environment. Make sure that the physical space is there. If I am going to be able to do some of these investment that will build this resilience for me, what incentives do you give me to enable some of these things to happen? So This thing really gives us an opportunity for all of us to actually look ourselves in the face and say, what are the things that we can do differently to ensure that we build this resilience that would enable us to be competitive. And again, when we start doing this conversation, it's important that we don't look insular and just look Ghana. We need to start looking ECOWAS, because sometimes some of these things are such that our numbers in Ghana would not make economic sense for us to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But once you start looking at ourselves within the ECOWAS framework, and now you have AFTA also coming in, and these services are going to go like that. So this is the time for us as Africans to start seeing how do we do so that we can build some of this. Because you see,
away from that, the African Union has described the 13th African Games as a success despite the initial challenges. Now, the 2-week games, which ended yesterday, brought together athletes from 52 countries to compete in several sports disciplines. The games closed last night with a colorful ceremony filled with a packed stadium and performances from artists like Stonebwoy Wiyala and all of you. Now, speaking at the events, the African Union Commissioner and Ambassador Samate Sizoma Minata said Ghana has set the standards for the rest of the continent.
Accra was a capital, the capital of African sport, and will remain. I insist on that one. Accra will remain such till the 40th edition of the game in Africa, African Games. I can confidently say that we have been able to successfully deliver the game, African Games Accra 2023.
Meanwhile, government has indicated that it will target hosting other international events after the hosting of the 13th African Games. President Akufo-Addo gave the hint when he officially closed the games at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium.
I assure my fellow Ghanaians that these facilities will be well maintained and will serve as appropriate venues for training future champions and for hosting international sporting tournaments and competitions. Indeed, the facilities will act as the nucleus for the soon-to-be established University of Sports for Development, and will also be the venues for the holding of the Ghana National Games. There's the annual National Sports Festival, where winners from the district and regional levels will meet to compete for the top national honors.
Now, the Volta River Authority has strongly debunked allegations of neglecting its obligations to Ghana's markets amidst ongoing challenges in power supply. The authority makes reference to allegations leveled against it by critics that it's selling power to neighboring countries at the expense of Ghana, but the authority has denied this. Let's share with you details of a statement they released in reaction to what has been happening. Now, if you look at the statement, it sort of say that they will not neglect the market at the expense of Ghanaians. Now, yesterday the Chamber of Independent Power Producers leveled against the VRA that it's neglecting its responsibility. Now, the VRA says the attention of the Volta River Authority has been drawn to a publication in the electronic media which attempts to suggest that the VRA is not meeting its power supply obligation to the Ghana market due to excessive export of power to neighboring countries. This assertion, which is attributed to the Independent Power Generators Ghana, is not only erroneous but misleading. The VRA wishes to state that since 1972, the authority has been supplying power to neighboring countries without reneging on its mandate to deliver reliable and affordable power to Ghana, and this the authority continues to do. Also, it is important to mention that the allocation of the power generated from the Akosombo and Pon hydropower stations is supervised by the Electricity Market Oversight Panel, EMOP, and not the VRA. By this arrangement, the allocation always prioritizes the Ghana market in accordance with government policies to ensure long-term optimization of the nation's hydro resources. The VRA wishes to assure the general public and all other stakeholders that it will continue to prioritize electricity supply to the Ghana market in line with its mandate, government policies, and regulatory obligations. Now, still on power issues, Member of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee, Edward Abamuri Bawa, has criticized the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, for its lack of discipline. Mr. Bawa accuses ECG of failing to provide transparent records, especially concerning revenue collection and payment to independent power generators and state-owned power generation companies. That is also coming from a member of Parliament's Mines and Energy Committee there. Now, let's move on and deal with other stories here. Now, he was stigmatized and discriminated against by his own mother after being diagnosed with tuberculosis. Now, abandoned by his family and having to deal with the disease all alone, nearly took the life of the 38-year-old man. Now, as the world marks World TB Day today, Joy Prime's Emmanuel Jevenu traveled to Aflao in the Volta region and has come through with this report.
Meet Christian Nyalete, a 38-year-old driver whose life took an unexpected turn when he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Little did he know that his diagnosis would not only test his physical resilience, but also challenge the bonds within his family. Christian's world crumbled as he faced a heartbreaking reality. The very person who should have provided comfort and support, his own mother, turned away. Stigmatized and isolated, Christian was forbidden from sharing meals with his family, a painful separation that extended to his own children.
Oh, now my mother changed her lifestyle to me. And now if I speak, my mother will be shouting, hey, Christian, hey, I told you not to be spitting at the public, so I should go outside and go and, oh, even if my children come back to school and they come closer to me like that, hey, if my mother can meet, hey, then we'll be calling the children that they should not near me. They should not near me. They should not near me, so they don't know that this is the sickness that is worried me.
Amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of TB Impact GH, a digital tool designed to empower those affected by tuberculosis.
One day we can go meeting, and I tell Sister Joy that how my mother will be behaving to me, and one day, and Sister Joy called and explained how the sickness is this. But before she calmed down, and like now she can do to me.
Christian was linked to a
All right, this is still the Joy Newsroom. Well, let's take you to the Ministry of Information conference room where the National Communications Authority is briefing Ghanaians on, measures that they are taking to ensure that you are protected on the internet. John Oche is the boss at the NCA and he's addressing the press now. Let's go over to the Ministry of Information now.
MTN and Telecom first reported to us that they have internet connectivity issues. This was also confirmed by the 4 subsea cable providers. South Atlantic Telecommunications are 3, Main 1, Africa Coast to Europe, which we call ACE, West African Cable System, WACS. On Thursday, 80 did not report of any internet disruption, and we will explain why that was the case. Honorable Minister, just to put this in context, so what are these subsea cable landing services? And then again, as you look at the diagram, this is a diagram The gentleman called Steve Song put it together. He continued to update them as and when new cables do come in. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see from here, but within that many colors, you see SAT3. It's a thin line. It's a thin line. It actually goes from South Africa all the way to Europe. And you see main one. I believe main one is a brown color. Main one goes from Nigeria all the way to Europe. And then you see ACE, and then you see WAX. These are 4 submarine cables that provide connectivity to Ghana. So they are redundant. Why are they redundant? It's not just one. Whenever you have redundant service, you have more than one. And for distance purposes, which we will explain later, they are diverse, very far apart from each other. I need you to take a look at this, the one that goes from, it's called, if you look at the legend on the right, it's a Pan-African, and it talks about 2 Africa. It's a green cable. Now, for this cable, actually, is the only cable that goes around all the African continents, the 2 Africa cable. It's a green cable, and it is a single cable that goes across all Africa. We'll come to the 2 Africa cable. So for the purpose of explaining what had happened, we put together a high-level traffic flow of a typical internet ecosystem, a typical internet. So when we say internet ecosystem, you begin with the box on the green box on the left, far left. We call them internet users. These internet users are you and I have mobile devices. We may have fixed devices in the house. It could be a corporate environment. It could be a small size business that buys services to provide its services on the internet, but typically a mobile user. So what you do is you have your phone and you have your applications, you have your WhatsApp, whatever it is on your phone, and you are buying services for the purpose of this discussion. Let's just say you buy services from any one of the mobile network operators. So they take your traffic and they send it to the box, the second box to the right. And here it could be a mobile network operator. It could be a terrestrial fiber operator. It could be a satellite provider. But these are folks that you are buying services. And they take your traffic and they make you believe that they're taking you to the internet directly. That's why many of us did not understand that. We had signal on Thursday, but then our internet wasn't working. Well, the truth of the matter is, if you look at the box, the next box, which is the red box, the red box is the submarine cable services. So typically, all traffic goes through them. It can go to them or it goes through them. For most of the part, it goes through them. The service provider might not send your traffic to them, it goes through them. But if they go down, then regardless of what you're doing, you find out that your internet services is going to be affected. So they take your traffic, and then they take the traffic through the submarine cable, as I showed you, going across Africa, the West Africa, in this case the West Coast, all the way to most likely in Portugal, or in London, or in any of the European countries, where there are devices where we call them inter-exchange points. So these inter-exchange points are the ones that take the traffic from the cable, or maybe from your MNO if they pass through them, and then send your traffic to the rest of the internet community. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the totality of these inter-exchange points across all the globe that makes the internet backbone. That's why you keep on hearing the internet doesn't belong to one person. It is a combination of what? Inter-exchange points. Now, I've also here, just for the purpose of making sure you understand what is happening, is on the top of the box that have the MNOs, you have what we call the local cash services. Below it, you have GIS. GIS is Ghana Internet Exchange. AIX is Accra Internet Exchange. Now, what do they do actually? So these are exchange points, meaning that there is an environment here where all the MNOs and ISPs can actually go to what? Exchange traffic. All right, which means that all local traffic will stay what? Local. All local traffic will stay local. And then, as you see up there, there's also local cash services. If many of us go to Facebook, we go to Twitter, and we go to the same location. So what internet service providers do, MNOs do, is they provide a cache server, a server that maintains the destinations that you are going into the internet, so that if I have gone there already and the content and the data content is there, you don't have to travel all right? They cache it locally. So if this is working correctly, then on Thursday, you should not have local services that's not available. We heard that some financial services impact of ECG, top-up of Ghana Water. Well, if that happens, it means that some part of that service is not local. Are you following me? Some part, if part all the service is local, you go across the red box. There's no internet in the device. Even if it's a satellite service, you still have to come down to terminate that traffic somewhere. So if the submarine goes down, possibly satellite services will also go down, depending on where the satellite gateways are. So this is just conceptually to understand that the submarine cable plays very key role to the whole internet ecosystem. Now, we haven't heard of them much because typically they all don't go out. They all don't have outage. Now, it is said if any one of them had remained, any one of the four had remained on Thursday, we would have had some good internet connectivity. As a matter of fact, if the big ones like the WAX and ACE and Main One, if any one of them had gone down, we would not have seen any effect at all because they are size, they have big capacities in them. Unfortunately, on Thursday, March 14th, they all went down. Now, so that we understand how we got here, we have looked at the past 10 years. In fact, we could have done 20 years, but Honorable Minister Desne, we will have been here for a long time, so we just look at 10 years. So let's look at 2014 to 2024, right? Let's look at the faults, submarine cable faults that have occurred. And here we are even confining ourselves within the territorial waters of Ghana, right? In any other place. As you saw in the map, depending on where the cable cut is, or depending on where the fault is, a country may be affected. No traffic was impacted. In December 2019, and again, these are historical records. As an institution, we will make decisions based on data, empirical data, right? So please keep attention and let's see what has happened in the past 10 years. So in December 2019, SAT-3, segment 14, shunt fault, it took about, 39 days. 39 days. In December 2019, May 1 had a shunt fault. No traffic was impacted. Let's keep on going. In January 2020, WACS, actually, in this case, it developed, there was a double fiber cut in London and Congo. That was actually a serious one for WACS. Again, it's just one. And no traffic was impacted. December 20th, May 1, Shantford. February 2022, May 1, Shantford. June 2022, Satre, Shantford, 44 days. 44 days. May 2023, ACE, cable break. And just last December, ACE, cable break. Now, based on what you have seen, there was not a single occasion where two cables actually were down, right? Were not a single case. Like, I go back so that we can see this in perspective. It is ACE. So when ACE was down for 4 weeks, we have WACS, we have Mean 1, we have what? SAT3. And then if you look at the other one, when WACS developed, it was a Shantford, it may not have affected anything, and then you have ACE. The bottom line here is I have shown you that in the past 10 years, there has not been a situation where two of the cables have actually been impacted at the same time. Had not been. And then I also told you that all of the cables, at least 3 of them, Mean 1, WACS, ACE, they have enough capacity. WACS has the capacity to carry all the traffic, right, at the same time. They have 1.5 terabytes, WACS alone. So, Honorable Minister Designate, so based on the past 10 years then any forward-looking institution who understand the issue, want to be proactive, can look at the issues and make decisions. And so that's what we came up with in February of 2020. We sent a communication to the MNOs, and I'll share that letter with you so that we are clear. In that letter, we stated that based on the series of issues that had occurred in 2019, and you saw that in 2019 in particular, there were several breaks. Based on that, we need to understand their cable to MNO, the cable to MNO mapping to avert future internet disruption. And again, I'm not choosing this word. These are the exact words in the letters that we sent to the MNOs in February 2020. So then they came to make a presentation to us, and then we realized that most of them were either with one cable provider or 2 cable providers. There was nothing wrong with that. It was a business decision. Remember that this cable are provisioned by a consortium of investors. So if you are a member of the consortium and you have traffic, you actually only pay the cost. So for business purposes, it makes sense that you put all your traffic on the cable that you are paying less. But then we realized that was a risk. It was a risk. So we wrote to them again in April 2020. We wrote to the MNOs to ensure that they connect to a minimum of 3 cables. These are decisions that were made in April 2020. I'm not saying these are decisions that were made after March 14th. Honorable Minister Designate, it is my belief that the reason why Ghana did not experience a total internet cutoff was this single directive from the National Communications Authority to the MNOs from February 2020 and April 2020. I sincerely believe that was the case. If we are not written to them, if we are not actually giving them the directive, it will have been a challenge on last Thursday. And again, I'm showing you the letters. I don't know if you can see from here, but somewhere in the letter, it states that, I'm reading the last one, following, sorry, I forgot. So let me read from here. Sorry. Let me read from here. Yeah. So we're saying that following the rest cable services, and I show you that in 2019, there were a few challenges, but not all of them, just one at a time. The National Communications Authority would like to engage the MNO, in this case, would like to engage MTN. We wrote to every one of them. I'm only reading one letter. MTN, a meeting, appearance, for appreciation on the following. MTN, traffic distribution on cable providers. And listen to this. Redundancy plan for submarine cables to avert future disruption. They wrote. Come out with all these things because in the middle of the situation, we really wanted internet to come up. We didn't want, it wasn't time to explain what happened. But I think this is the appropriate time to let Ghanaians know that NCA has been forward-looking. I dare you go to any regulator in the sub-region to find out if they actually took any such decisions. And we are very proud and appreciative that we're able to actually command. Now look at the second one. There too, we indicate the second letter that from a national emergency standpoint, all MNOs and self-lines should establish and maintain physical cable connection to three. These are decisions that were made, again, based on what we had seen in the past 10 years. There wasn't a single occasion where all 4 cables went down. But we were forward-looking enough to know that best practice is for them to do that. With the cable providers and MNOs as well. In a meeting, we asked them to come for us to review cybersecurity, operational readiness, business continuity, and disaster recovery plans. They all came. So we are very clear in our mind exactly what scope is. These letters, please, if you really want to see them, they will be available. Honorable Minister Designate, the next subsequent slide explains some of what we have done. Result of the April NCA directive, all MNOs were directed to 3 physical, have connection to 3. It's very important that they did that. Now, as part of the above arrangements, AT decided that of terminating cables in the cables in Ghana, they decide to extend one leg to a cable company so that explains to you, and that explains to you why on Thursday 14th, AT had connectivity to the rest of the world, because they were using a cable that was not impacted. They rely on the directive that we gave them and added value to it. So, Honorable Minister Designate, what happened post 14th March? So, post March, we've had extensive engagement with the MNOs and the cable landing operators. When I say engagement, it's not Zoom engagement. This is a face-to-face engagement to really understand the situation. These face-to-face meetings were attended by MNOs and the cable landing In fact, I believe last week, Saturday, we even had a face-to-face engagement. And we continue to work with them. So what happened is there are about 3 cable operators in the West Coast that were not affected. One in Cote d'Ivoire. There's one that exists in Lomé and Nigeria at the same time, one that is in Nigeria. And so these, because they have capacity, they're working work with them to ensure that allow traffic to flow. Typically, these cables are provisioned with a lot of capacities in them, a lot of capacity. And so as and when capacity has become available, the MNOs and the cable providers to ensure that there is good internet traffic in Ghana. And many of you have seen this. We have released about six press releases to inform the general public the status at any point in time. We've done that. We've done some media engagements as well. Honorable Minister Ursula Owusu Akufu, he's been to the Parliament, as I said earlier, to brief the full House. Last Thursday, we also were invited by the Parliament Select Committee on Communication, and we've done that. And today, we are here to see the good men and women of the press, for you to convey our message for us. One of the interventions that we had to do, Honorable Minister, we kept on hearing that Crivers Ghana refill, ECG, Ghana Water, planning, financial are working. We were adding every time. Sector in the utility services, ECG and Ghana Water, BOG was there, Association of Bankers was there, Ghana Stock Exchange were there. Several of these players were. Now, in having this discussion, we realized that one of the reasons why ECG, Ghana Water, and so on connectivity was not working, because several of these applications were being hosted outside the country. All right, so it became a challenge for them to now contend with the limited traffic that was going to the internet and coming back. We recommended to them MNOs to prioritize these traffic, which they said they were going to look into it. The phone they called to indicate that was possible. Indeed, we could prioritize the financial services and the public utility services traffic so that we can have business continuity. And then we recommended to them as much as possible to host some of these applications locally. There's a national data center that is managed by NITA. It's a world-class data center. There are several other data centers around. I think we should look into bringing home some of these applications so that in event of situations like this, they will be local. The other recommendation we made is, most people don't know about the Ghana Internet Exchange and Accra Internet Exchange. These are entities that allow, as I explained earlier, entities that allow MNOs and ISP. Ghanaian traffic remains local. The way internet works is internet is based on addresses, just like you and I have a home address. There are devices that are called routers. They keep destination addresses. Anywhere you want to go on the world, right, in the world, it has to have a destination. So your service provider have to look in this routing table and see where is the destination. Because in the past, the whole internet lives, outside in Europe. Most times, even though I'm trying to go to a destination in Ghana, my service provider will send me to Europe, right, and then bring me back because I'm an MTN customer. You are a Vodafone customer, and to avoid that, if MTN and Telecom and AT and all these ISPs, they connect to Ghana Internet Exchange, then if I'm looking for any local traffic destination, I won't go outside. It's a very crucial thing that I think as a country we need to. It came in very, very handy. We are recommending that all ISPs, all mobile network operators connect to the Ghana Internet Exchange and Accra Internet Exchange services. It will allow our traffic to be local. And then if you add that with local data centers, then we will have a truly local traffic. So, Honorable Minister designated, so question is, what is the current status? What is the current status? AT, as we said, because of them having a leg into Nigeria using a different cable provider, that was not affected. They always remain 100%. And then on March 19th, which I believe will be Tuesday, Telecom reported that they were 100% capacity. They have 100% capacity. MTN recovered 100% capacity for peak. Again, each MNO have peak traffic requirement. So if your peak is, let's just say for the purpose of the discussion, your peak is 80 gig, right? And whenever you have 80, you know that you can service all your customers. And that's what MTN report. And this MTN has 80. I'm just using it as an example. So currently, as we speak, 80, 100%, Telecom 100%, MTN 100%. So the question is, if they are 100%, does it mean the cables are up? No, I told you, all the 4 cables are down, but currently the MNOs and the cable providers are leveraging cable providers that are in the West Coast that were not impacted by the outage. So that's what is happening. Again, so we explained that all the aforementioned traffic, 80, 100%, Telecom, 100%, MTN, 100% of the peak traffic. They are all riding on cables in the sub-region that were not impacted. Why is it important? Many of you have complained that if you say everything is up, why do we have this intermittent slowness of services? Well, think about it. If you want to go to London, you can buy a ticket, buy BA, Accra, London, 6 hours. But you can also decide to buy, to take Africa World to maybe Lagos, and then from there take Kenya Airways to South Africa, and then take BA again to London. You still get to London, but it will be slow. So that's what is happening. Because all our cables are down, they are having to leverage on cables that are not currently right. So you will have to, for example, you will have to, there's a cable that has been provisioned by one of the very hard-working local Ghanaian companies called C-Squared. They managed to bring good traffic to the MNOs from Lomé. So it means that you have to find a way to bring that traffic to where? To Accra, and then be able to now distribute it to the MNOs. Right. So if you are going to the internet, rather than jumping to your cable provider directly, now you go to your MNO, who now goes through the local terrestrial fiber to Lomé, right? And then you jump on a cable that might be going to South Africa before it goes to Europe, or goes to Nigeria before it goes. So that might explain some latency, but it's not that much. It depends on the time also. During the peak hours, you might see that latency. We've also reported that a meeting, which will be 16th, I believe it was, the cable providers indicated that it would take a minimum weeks for the cable to be repaired. Usually, it's not. These are not terrestrial cables. It's not Accra Kumasi cable that this is buried deep on the seabed. So it requires special technical skills. So there are ships that are designed purposely for this. These ships are not just sitting around. They are not like Uber vehicles that you hold them and then they are there. They come from Europe. It takes time for it. In 5 weeks, I believe this puts it in maybe third week of April. It could be sooner than that. It could be more than that. We are actually not very sure. But we can report, again, the last bullet, we can report that the ships are already on their way to the problem areas. So what's the way forward? What's the way forward? Again, recall I told you we made the February 2020 decision based on empirical data from 10 years, from the past, right, from the past. Then it was one cable at a time, but then we thought that it was still sufficient risk for them to distribute. So we decide that going forward, we are going to expand on that directive. We will expand on that directive. MNOs will be directed, as a first bullet, MNOs will be directed to connect to a cable provider in the sub-region that's currently not landing in Ghana. That's currently not landing in Ghana. Again, until this happened, there was no evidence that you could lose all 4 of them. But now we have data, at least. And so we are asking that every one of them, in addition to having 3 here, be sure to extend to a cable provider that is not in Ghana. Okay. Honorable Minister Designate, one of the very progressive things that had happened is the second one. Last year, the board of NCA approved, working with the Ministry of Communication and Digitalization, Communication and Digitalization approved 50 cable. This 2Africa cable is actually unique. It's unique in the sense where Africa cable is actually unique. It's unique in the sense that whereas all the existing cables go, let's say 3 of them actually go from South Africa to Europe, and then being one goes from Nigeria to Europe, 2Africa goes across the whole continent. Across the whole continent. If we had a cable like that, we would not have a situation. Because depending on wherever the cut is, you can redirect your traffic. Are you following me? Yeah. Let me go back and just show this quick. I'll come back again. It's much easier to see from the map. We are there. So the 2Africa cable is the green cable that is going across the entire African continent. The green cable. As you have seen, the rest of the cables that actually operate from here, 3 of them actually go from South Africa, all right, to Europe. And so when the cable is cutting in Cote d'Ivoire, then those of us that are in the south of where the cable is cut, we are impacted, right? But if the cables were going across the entire Africa, then regardless of where the cut is, you can be all right. Last one. All right. And the beauty of it is the Two Africa cable have a capacity of 180 terabytes per second, 180 terabytes, which is about 4.5 times the design capacity of the entire cables, the present cables. And as I showed to you on the map, they also come with some geographical diversity, meaning that they go in the opposite direction. And additionally, Honorable Minister designate, from a distance standpoint, they are much further away than the four other cables. Again, I'm discussing the way forward. So the way forward. NCA has augmented our existing satellite licensing portfolio to include recent broadband satellite services to provide alternative connectivity options for domestic and enterprise users. We've currently NCA have the VSAT. The VSAT satellite service has been around for many years. Several financial institutions until I believe maybe 2020 or so, even the Electoral Commission exclusively relied on VSAT to connect all the district offices. So this is a service that is still available. Having said that, the VSAT itself, the bandwidth involved is much smaller because these satellites are, we call them geosynchronous satellites. We are very way, and they look at for satellite broadband until recently when the hardware led a reverend engineer together and framework. So we are the board framework to entertain applications from satellite broadband. A few policy issues that needs to be addressed, but I believe that should be taken care of soonest. We already have one of the satellite broadband providers called OneWeb. OneWeb is actually a competitor. If you go do a search, you see they are a competitor with Starlink, but their business model might be different. But they currently have a ground station here in Ghana. They have licenses to do that. We've received application from Starlink. Now again, I told you the framework was not available. Because the framework was not available, you could not process application that doesn't exist. Now it is. So soon as between NCA and the policy holder, we are able to sort a few things out. We should be ready to go on that. The next thing we want to do is we need to engage the other regulators in the sub-region to look into terrestrial fibers. Can we have a terrestrial fiber that runs from Nigeria all the way to, say, currently there's no terrestrial fiber that goes all the way. Countries do have terrestrial fiber, but there is, I know there's a fiber from Cote d'Ivoire that goes to Senegal and maybe Gambia and Liberia, but we need to look into such solution. I think it will come in handy. And again, we'll continue proactively working with the industry to ensure that this situation will not occur again. So that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joe Anochi, for that insightful presentation. For the benefits of the tree-speaking media houses that are picking the live feed.
So that was an update on what Ghana has been able to do in the internet disruptions that happened, the past few days. That was Dr. Joe Anochi, who is the Director General of the National Communications Authority. Now, there's more on that particular conference that we'll be bringing you on myjoyonline.com. My name is Samuel Kojobre. Up next is The Law with lawyer Samson Ayenini.